Again, we're still on the cholesterol, steroids under cholesterol, no? And again, our desired levels should be high for HDL and low levels of LDL. Dapat low atong LDL in the bloodstream, no, for us to be of low risk sa katong mga heart-related diseases. So high-density lipoproteins carry cholesterol from plaque deposited in the arteries to the liver, thereby reducing the risk of arteriosclerosis. Remember, when you have a high level of your HDL is the one that carries balik-balik to the liver. So pag high level HDL, it is the one that carries the cholesterol pabalik dito sa liver. So pag na-plaque sa imong bloodstream due to cholesterol, the HDL will help reduce that one para i-deposit niya ang cholesterol nga nasa imong blood into the liver, and thereby it reduces the risk of atherosclerosis. You want to have a high level of HDL but low level of LDL. So what happens? Premenopausal women have a more HDL than men, and which is why women have a very low risk of coronary heart disease. So it's just that women have a very low risk of heart disease, katong arteriosclerosis or heart-related diseases, because HDLs can be increased by exercise and weight loss. So magpa-weight loss na mo, pag-diet mo, don't want to have that in the future. So karon ba lang, while you're still young, because you know this one, always be on a watch out on your diet, and yeah, exercise, increase your HDL level in your blood. Balik-balik na. This is the one that I have been saying earlier, no? Kaning this one is the cholesterol is deposited in your blood vessels, in your arteries, no? When there's too much cholesterol, it becomes a plaque. And this is the normal blood vessels, no? Without too much cholesterol, actually, and there is a normal blood flow. There is a presence of, there is a presence of cholesterol, no? It reduces on the diameter. Diameter of your blood vessels, of your arteries. Like from this one, the diameter of your arteries, where your blood will flow, more reducing the diameter because of the presence of the plaque. Plaque that is due to the cholesterol. So pag ma-reduce ang flow of the blood, again, that would lead to an increase of blood pressure. Okay, and then pag lead of blood pressure, reduce ang flow sa imong blood, no? Again, ma-deprive ang cells, parts of your body with oxygen, because it is the one that carries the blood, is the one that carries oxygen to the different parts of the cells. Okay, so balik na tayo. Let's move on. I think that's too much already for the cholesterol. Gapunta na human. It's a very nice discussion. And there is another kind of cholesterol. Steroids, no, are actually the steroids hormones. This one, it helps the steroid hormones. It helps control metabolism, inflammation, immune functions, salt and water balance, development of sexual characteristics, and the ability to withstand illness and injury. So they can be grouped according to the receptors to which they bind. So any other steroid hormones or steroids, actually, they are usually hormones. No, the usual steroids are actually hormones. So whenever you have your cholesterol, it can be synthesized to other hormones as well, other steroids as well. And again, there's too much functions for the steroids. It controls the metabolism, inflammation of your body, immune functions, development of sexual characteristics. Example, you have the adrenal corticoid hormones. And you have the glucocorticoids. It controls the carbohydrate mechanism. You have the mineral corticoids. It regulates the concentration of ions. And then you have actually the sex hormones. You have the androgens, the male sex hormones, the estrogens, the female sex hormones, and the progestins, the pregnancy hormones produced in the ovaries and in the placenta. So, tanan natin sa mga hormones dira, no? look at the structure of this hormone, the adrenocorticoid hormones. Again, ang ng adrenocorticoid hormones kanang appeal sa carbohydrate metabolism that would lead to the other hormones like your sex hormones. No? You have the testosterone and estradiol for women. Okay, so you can see here you have your progesterone. Look at the structure. Pareho na siya. Steroid siya na. Look at the structure. Six-membered ring, six-membered ring fused to look a ring, and five-membered ring. You have here six-membered ring, naka-fused ang tulok a ring, and a one five-membered ring, five-membered ring. You have here, and these are your steroid hormones. So testosterone is a male sex hormone, and what is the estrogens are the female sex hormones. The precursor is you can have your estradiol actually precursor that. You have the, what else? Progestins. But these are precursors of other hormones that we have already mentioned. So the adrenocorticoid hormones are products of the adrenal glands, and the term adrenal means adjacent to the renal, which refers to the kidney. So we classify these hormones into two groups according to functions. You have the mineralocorticoid, which regulates the concentration of ions, mainly sodium and potassium. And you have the glucocorticoid, controls carbohydrate metabolism. And it's also one reason of why affected in imong kidney, no? When you have a different cholesterol level in your body, no? Because it's a precursor to the other hormones that would regulate the ion concentration. Nauban mo kidney dysfunction. The term corticoid indicates that the site of the secretion is the cortex, so the outer part of the gland. Then we have the aldosterone. It is one of the important mineral corticosteroid. You have the increased secretion of aldosterone enhances the reabsorption of sodium and chloride ions in the kidney tubules and increase the loss of potassium, because sodium concentration controls water retention in the tissue and the aldosterone controls tissue swelling. So again, this one is just simply the mineral corticosteroids, part of the mineral corticosteroid. Mineral gani, just think of ions, no? Control of ions in your body. Cortisol is the major glucocorticoid. Its function is to increase the glucose and glycogen concentrations in the body. This accumulation occurs at the expense of other nutrients. For example, fatty acids from fat storage cells and amino acids from body proteins are transported to the liver, which under the influence of cortisol and the manufacturers of glucose and glycogen from the source. So if you remember your biology, you know, this metabolism of your carbohydrates, no, to liver will always be part of it in the metabolism. So it's the cortisol actually that controls, no, the concentration of your glucose and glycogen in the body. Kung i-convert na ba siya ang stored fats into glucose, nakalangan na ba sa mga cells, or store pa ba siya, no? You have the cortisol that functions. And this is actually the ones that is involved in the feedback mechanism, no? Kani siya nga mga hormones are the ones that are in charge of the feedback mechanisms, all the hormones. Cortisol, synthetic and derivative cortisone have remarkable anti-inflammatory effects. This similar synthetic derivatives such as prednisolone are used to treat inflammatory diseases of many organs, rheumatoid arthritis, and bronchial asthma. So you can see that some drugs that will be given by the doctors, like cortisone, no? Cortisone, kanang namay mga inflammations in your body, but this kind of drugs, steroid drugs, needs to have prescription from the doctors, and they become anti-inflammatory drugs, but they are steroid drugs. So pag mga steroid drugs, because it affects the metabolism of the body, they need, when we take this kind of drugs, we need doctor's prescription. There are anti-inflammatory drugs that don't need doctor's prescription, just like paracetamol, so ibuprofen, no, they're anti-inflammatory, but not tayong mga anti-inflammatory drugs that are steroids. So for this, again, this kind of drugs, we need doctor's prescription. So we have here the sex hormones. The testosterone is the hormone for men, sex hormone for men. Can have here the partial structure. This is not actually the full structure, but one of the rings can be converted into the estradiol, other metabolites of your testosterone. And what happens in the here is that there is a loss of hydrogen in CH3, okay, and there is here from CDL1 may mo siyang OH here, and you can see a double bond here, kani, and another here, mawala si CH3. Okay, mawala si hydrogen here, na kay CH3. And this is the conversion of one hormone to another. Just an example, you don't have to study that one. So again, what is testosterone? It's a principal male hormone responsible for buildup of muscles in men. Recognizing this fact, many athletes actually have taken this drug in an effort to increase their muscular development. The practice is especially common among athletes in sports in which strength and muscle mass are important, including weightlifting, shot put, and hammer throw. Participants in other sports such as running, swimming, and cycling also like larger and stronger muscles. So, di ba na uban? Katong mga gusto magpalaki, bai nga gusto magpalaki, they would want to take this testosterone hormone. Or katong laki na, but they want to have kanang chadagid muscles, no? Kanang they always want to go to the gym and kailangan makita ang mga muscles. Some would actually be taking this one, but it's not advisable, no? Although used by many athletes, testosterone actually have these advantages. Besides its effects on muscles, it affects secondary sexual characteristics, and too much of it can result in undesired side effects. If you're a man and you would like to take testosterone, so it is not really advisable if you want to have it long term, because it has a disadvantage. No, it would have an effect on other it would have an effect to other and another one, so it has a disadvantage, no, it would have secondary sexual characteristics, and too much can result undesired results if you take too much testosterone. And also it does not taken orally, it must be injected to achieve the best results. For these reasons, large numbers of another anabolic steroids, all of them synthetic, have been developed. And some women athletes are use anabolic steroids just as their male counterparts because their bodies produce only small amount of testosterone. Some women actually have much more to gain from anabolic steroids than men. So another way to increase testosterone concentrations to use hormones, which the body converts to testosterone. One such hormones, you have 4-androstenedione or andro, just named andro. I don't know if you have athletes here. And the use of anabolic steroids is forbidden in many sporting events, however. No, so katong, di ba there is this issue katong Russian athletes, no? There's issue in there, and there's a lot of athletes actually that have been disqualified na sa Olympics because of this one. So this one is actually called doping na already if you use hormones, like this kind of drugs. gives some competitors an unfair advantage. These drugs can have many unwanted and even dangerous side effects, ranging from acne to liver tumors. The side effects can be especially disadvantageous for women. They can include growth of facial hair, baldness, deepening of the voice, and menstrual irregularities. Those women that would look like men, for example, they want to look men, no, napod siya, mo-change silang voice, no? But there's a lot of disadvantage actually, no, for it than kanang ilahang gihina nga advantage. And again, this one is doping already called in the sports world. So these are some anabolic steroids, no, that's being used, synthetic one that's being used in the sports. You have this one. So Olympic sprinter Marion Trans went to prison for lying under oath about steroid use. So there are those athletes that would want to use steroids, no, for again, ma-develop lang muscles. But this one is not recommended, and in fact, it's not considered legal, no, sa sports committee, usual sports committee. And here is our bile salts. It's also can also see steroids, no. Cholesterol can be converted into bile salts in the liver by the HDL. Can have here the cholic acids, your bile salts. You have 1, 2, 3, 6-membered ring, and a few string here. You can see here like a carboxylic acid, say it's called cholic acid or bile acid. You can see here in the structure na kay acetyl bond OH in the structure. It's a carboxylic acid na kay OH group here. Some here, but this one, because na kay carboxylic acid, it's actually called a bile acid. So bile salts are oxidation products. Bile salts, yun ang bile salts. Derivatives na siya of this bile acid. So you have here a bile acid or a cholic acid here. What happens is, but ilisan siya here with an amide or a glycine. We call this one a bile salt in the structure. So bile salts are oxidation products of cholesterol. First, the cholesterol is oxidized to a trihydroxy derivative in the end of the aliphatic chain is oxidized to the carboxylic acid. You can see the structure of a bile acid known as carboxylic acid. Later in turns, it forms an amide bond with an amino acid, either glycine or taurine. So you can see there, taurine has developed certain amount of commercial importance in recent years in ingredients in sports drinks. The drink marketed under the trade name Red Bull stores the Latin word for bull contains 4 sugars, caffeine, vitamins, B vitamins in addition to taurine. So there are those na mag-study, no, kay Bagbilar, they're actually using Red Bull. Ang nara din na sugar, caffeine, vitamin B, B complex, and you have taurine. So sama ng taurine. Taurine is katora. Bile is produced by the liver, stored in the gallbladder, and secreted into the intestines. And bile salts are the most important constituents of human bile. So katong mga ang liver, no, when it metabolizes the cholesterol, no, it converts that one into bile salts. So bile salts are the most important constituents in human bile. It's a powerful detergents and acts as emulsifying agents that make the dietary lipids soluble in the aqueous environment of the digestive tract. Therefore, they facilitate the absorption of fats and the dispersion of dietary lipids by bile salts, similar to the action of soap and dirt. It's the bile salts actually that facilitate the absorption of fats. Ano man, can look at the structure of bile salt, a polar group here, a hydrophobic polar group is the one that helps facilitate the absorption of fats. Another kind of complex lipids, another classification with a different structure. You have the prostaglandins, thromboxanes, and leukotrienes. You have here in the structure, here you have the prostaglandins, PGE, PGF2. There's a different structure. There is no similar, the structure is not similar to what we have learned with simple fatty acids, complex one, phospholipids, glycolipids. No, it's very different. It's different with steroids also. It's different with boxes. No? So here you can see, just summarize the structure. You have the prostaglandins, for example, usually start with arachidonic acid and other fatty acids, and they're converted to another structure here. And the final one is you have the prostaglandins. What is the function of the prostaglandins? Prostaglandins are a group of fatty acid-like substances, which were discovered by Korczak and Lieb in the 1930s, and they demonstrated the seminal fluid caused by hysterectomized uterus to contract. So what happens? So katong kuan uterus, hysterectomized uterus to contract. Now what happened is Olaf von Euler of Sweden, the winner of Nobel Prize in Physiology in 1970, isolated these compounds from human semen and thinking that they had come from the prostate gland named prostaglandin. So even though the seminal gland secretes 0.1 milligrams of prostaglandin a day in mature male, small amounts of prostaglandins are present throughout the body in both sexes. So they are just like fatty acids. This is just a story of how they were being discovered. Prostaglandins are synthesized in the body from arachidonic acid and by a ring closure at carbon 8, and the enzyme catalyzing this reaction is called cyclooxygenase. The product is PGG2. This is a common precursor of other prostaglandin, and you have the PGE and PGF. PGE is a prostaglandin E group. It's a carbonyl group with carbon 9. And the PGF is a prostaglandin with F group. And what happened? The PGE2 and PGF stimulate uterine contractions and induce labor actually. So there are parts katong mag-labor ang babae. PGE2 lowers blood pressure by relaxing the muscles around the blood vessels. In aerosol, this prostaglandin is used to treat asthma. It opens up bronchial tubes by relaxing the surrounding muscles. This is like anti-inflammatory. It's like an anti-inflammatory. The difference here you can see on the structure, no? You can see on the structure you have a acetyl bond O and OH here, and you have an OH, same lang siya. It forms a ring. Gikan sa arachidonic acid, na kayo makita niyo ring somewhere here. Dapat siya carboxylic acid. Okay, another one, thromboxanes. So you have PGH2 and thromboxane A. Parihara na siya. You can see here in the structure. Like this one, similar. So I think so the thromboxane is another class of arachidonic acid derivatives. Their synthesis also includes ring closure. These substances are derived from PGH2, but the ring is cyclical acetal. So what is the purpose of thromboxane? Thromboxane causes other platelets to clump, thereby increasing the size of blood clot. So makakause na siya of clotting. It promotes clotting in the blood. So thromboxane is known to induce platelet aggregation. So when blood vessel is ruptured, for instance, in the body, no, for example, nasama ng mga blood vessels, no, kani siya, this is the first line of defense. It will induce platelet aggregation. And platelets secreting the blood, which forms an incipient blood. For example, masamad ka, no, it's a thromboxane actually that will induce platelet aggregation. Ano siya ang mag-feedback, no? Ay you don't want to lose too much blood. Kung masamad ka, no, kailangan i-close sa imong body ng blood nga nigawas. So unsaan man na mag-clot ang imong body para dili ka na bitang, di ba masamad mo buo ang blood. And that's blood clotting. So you have here. And then you have that's the main purpose of your thromboxane. It induces platelet aggregation. So aspirin, anti-inflammatory agent, inhibit CoX enzyme, and consequently pituitary and thromboxanes is inhibited. So ma-inhibit kung mag-inom mo og anti-inflammatory and blood clotting is impaired. So kung magsige mag-inom og anti-inflammatory drugs, aspirin, no, ma-inhibit kay ning imuhang thromboxane synthesis kay baliktad man ang iyahang process. Ang aspirin and other similar drugs are anti-inflammatory, no? Murag ikuan niya, anti-clotting siya. Si anti-clotting. So wala siya dili say anti-clotting, no? Instead nga the system or blood would induce platelet aggregation. Si aspirin baliktaron, ipalusaw niya ang imuhang dugo, no? In fact, a lot of patients katong too much during the COVID time, no, katong daghan gid kayo cases, no. Actually the body would want to defend our immune system would want to defend the inclusion of katong mga viruses, for instance. So as a defense mechanism, our body would clot too much, no, na yung mga microclotting that was found for patients having COVID. And in fact, when you take aspirin, no, it will kanang lessen the clotting process in your body. Actually, it's the clotting process during COVID time o makakos og katong mga, according sa other reports, makakos og kanang kung high blood pressure mo na nga ma-deplete, no, kay again, aside sa kanang mabla katong mga dagkoon nga tao nga lalaki, no, nga there's already reduced blood flow sa ilang body because of too much cholesterol level inana. So added pa sa clotting sa body, no, when we are being attacked by the virus, so we have inflammation too much. But some people katong nakatake og aspirin, ma-reduce ang inflammation, ma-reduce ang clotting, no, malusaw ang dugo. So this effect is prompted. Many physicians recommend daily dose of 81 milligrams for people at risk for heart attack or stroke. So katong mga people that again that are risk for atherosclerosis or heart attack, aspirin ang ginainom. No, kay di ba remember earlier ni discussed na ay clotting, na ay plaque usually sa cholesterol, and then maadan pa siya og clotting, samot na ka impaired ang flow sa imong blood. So manang uban are taking aspirin, katong people that are at risk for heart attack or katong mga high blood doon, because it inhibits blood clotting. So it also explains why physicians forbid patients to use aspirin and other inflammatory agents for a week because of planned surgery. Aspirin and other NSAIDs may cause excessive bleeding. So katong mga, for example, magpa-ibot og ngipon, magpa-opera, no, it is not advisable for people to take aspirin because it is anti-clotting, no? Ipalusaw niya ang dugo. But kung mag-surgery manggod, kailangan makontrol ang clotting, kailangan mag-clot dali ra ang clotting nga naman para dili kayo mag-bleed. Okay? And it's again the thromboxane that allows clotting or induce platelet aggregation or clotting in the blood. Daghan akong story. I think that's all. It's the time. Oh my God, 2:00 na di ay. Anyway, so last na lang, I think we're done na. So last na lang for I end. Another one is the leukotrienes. The leukotrienes again is derived from arachidonic acid. It's a fatty acid. So katong thromboxanes, prostaglandins, leukotrienes, they are derived from arachidonic acid. And so it's important contact fatty acid. So what is the purpose of leukotrienes? It's another group of substance that act to mediate hormonal response, and like prostaglandins are derived from arachidonic acid by oxidative mechanism. However, let's see in the structure. Oh, wala yung structure. You have here oxidative mechanisms, too many steps from arachidonic acid, pero wala kay ring na makita, unlike kang prostaglandin and thromboxanes. Anyway, ang say purpose na leukotriene. Leukotrienes occur mainly in white blood cells, but are also found in other tissues in the body. They produce long-lasting muscle contractions, especially in the lungs, and can cause asthma-like attacks. In fact, they are 100 times more potent than histamines. Both prostaglandins and leukotrienes cause inflammation and fever, so the inhibition of the production of the body is a major pharmacological concern. So one way to counteract the effects of leukotrienes is to inhibit their uptake by leukotriene receptors in the body. So mura siya kuan, makakos siya og contraction man good, muscle contraction, especially in the lungs. So mura kag asthmahon too much of this. Okay, so that's all for leukotrienes. So there are other lipids that is used as signals, cofactors, and pigments. You have vitamins. It's a compound that is essential to the health of humans but cannot be synthesized internally and must be obtained through the diet. So you have vitamins A and vitamin D are precursors of hormones. Vitamin E is a cholesterol derivative that is converted into a hormone regulating calcium metabolism in the intestine, kidney, and bone. Tanaw na to ang structure sa vitamin D. Parihara siya, similar siya sa cholesterol na siya fused ring. Vitamin A, or also called retinol, derivatives can absorb light. Retinol plus opsin to form rhodopsin is a vision thing and control epithelial tissue development. You also have vitamin K. It's a cofactor essential for activating prothrombin and needed to promote blood clotting. Then you have vitamin E. It's a group of lipids called tocopherols, which acts as antioxidants, protect unsaturated fatty acids, and scavenge damaging free radical. Warfarin is a synthetic compound that inhibits the formation of active prothrombin, excellent rat poison, or human anticoagulant. And you have the ubiquinone. It's also it's a coenzyme Q and a plastiquinone function as lipophilic electron carriers in the redox reactions in the metabolic synthesis, the ATP synthesis. That will be later when we have that discussion. Okay, so these are also considered as lipids, but other than katong hormonal functions like kani sila, katong mga leukotrienes, katong thromboxanes, prostaglandins, and steroids, and they act like hormones. They act in the regulations. Hormones acts always in the regulations. Kaning uban nga lipids, they act as signals, cofactors, and pigments. And there. So that ends our session for lipids, grabe kataas, no? And next time we'll be talking for enzymes. So I think that's all. I hope that today you've learned lesson. Nag-exceed ta sa atong time, but I hope that for others who are not here, they may be able to continue to watch the video or continue to read on the slide. So that's all for today. Do you have questions for those nga napa? I hope that you learned something, and I'll see you next meeting. Do you have questions, anyone? Huh?
Excuse me, Mom. Mom, can I ask po, Ma'am, asa mag-start sa final, Ma'am, nga topic, Ma'am? Carbohydrates ba, Ma'am?
Wala na, human na to sa carbohydrates, diba? Gi-cover na.
Sa lipids na, Ma'am.
Lipids na to mag-start. Okay, cover na na tong
Okay.
lipids. And then you have another
Okay,
chapter. Kano sa yung finals gani?
Wala pa pud ko kabalo, Ma'am.
I think it's the second week sa June, no? So natay 2 weeks pa mag-discuss. Or 1 week. Munguta na pa ko. Okay?
Okay.
Okay, that's all.
Yes
And
po,
see
Ma'am.
you
Thank you, Ma'am.
next meeting. Wala na question? Bye-bye.